Well, good evening. Just to wrap up of the City Council meeting for Monday, February 27, 2017. There was no work session this afternoon, so we'll just go through quickly the council meeting. A couple of things of interest on the consent agenda. Our Public Works Department was in and looked at a new mower, so we are purchasing a new mower. It was all planned and budgeted through our CIP project for about $12,000. We granted Nathan Moreland, who has been a city employee for a while, but is taking over as the facilities manager for the city of Grand Rapids. The nice thing about Nathan is he had an opportunity to grow into that position, working under Jeff Davies and Mr. Edminster and Ron Edminster. And the city certainly thanks Ron for his willingness to stick around for a while. He's been, I believe, on a part-time basis for probably a year or better, and we'll continue to use him if some issues and stuff comes up. But Ron is still, I think, just finishing up the last part of what he's doing in that area. We authorized an application for a public works grant. And then we also requested the police department, or we considered a request to pay for 3 new vehicles in the PD. That was done through our 2016 and 2017 capital improvement plan. Tonight we had a department head. The City of Grand Rapids has a housing redevelopment authority as well. They're a separate entity, kind of under the city's umbrella, the same as, you know, the public utilities and some of those, the golf course. But Jerry Culleton was in and gave an overview of where we are as the City of Grand Rapids. So when we take a look at the public-owned facilities, 401 and 411, one's on the River Road and one is up behind what I call the old Bridgman's building, and Crystal Lake Townhomes, those are the public ones. And then we got market rate facilities that they own, so Forest Park West and Lake Shore Place. All of them are doing very well. The general public one is $22,000. The public one is $107,000. Crystal Lake has $29,000. Forest Park West and Lake Shore Place has $389,000. So they are able to fund themselves. The 401 and 411 are fully owned. There is no debt on those facilities, and we apply for some grant money, about $90,000 a year that has to be spent on those buildings to keep them maintained and the upkeep in decent shape. So we think that that group, the housing redevelopment's been doing a great job from the standpoint of making sure that the City of Grand Rapids has adequate, you know, market rate and supportive housing as we move forward. A few other things that came up. Dale Anderson was in. We had the dehumidification system at the Civic Center. Recall back a few months I'd been in and talked a little bit about the water dripping, and it couldn't keep the facilities from moisturing up on the rafters and stuff. We ended up having to cancel a curling tournament, and it's bad, you know, long term on that wood in the roof if we weren't to do something. We had budgeted about $110,000, but the replacement was going to cost about $156,000. So we used $110,000 from our CIP, $20,000 from excess roof funds that we had sitting there, $15,000 from the aviation project that we are postponing for a while, and $11,000 from the Civic Center budget itself. So those funds will be covered, and we will get that project going here in the next few weeks. Under engineering, Matt Wegworth was in. He talked about a quote from Hammerlin Construction for stormwater maintenance on Hale Lake for $7,750. We only got one bid on that this time, so fortunately it was a adequate bid and a low enough bid from Hammerlin that we moved forward with that as well. Steve Shar was in from the police department. Talked about adopting a resolution accepting a grant of $7,182.33 through the Homeland Security to purchase a new bi-directional amplifier. We're having some problems with our radio systems under the old 800 megahertz, so we're going to be upgrading that system. Half of it's through there as a matching grant, and the rest of it will come to pay for that because it was not budgeted, will come from the forfeiture fund through the PD. We appointed, and I will go through them again, boards and commissions, and I want to thank everyone out there that has applied for different boards and commissions. It takes a lot of volunteers to make sure that input and feedback is received in all the different areas of the city of Grand Rapids. So we have a lot of boards and commissions that have residents on them. So Arts and Culture had one position open, and Myrna Peterson was appointed to that. Economic Development, Corey Jackson was appointed to that. Our Golf Course Board, Kelly Kerwin and Pat Pollard were appointed to the golf course. The HRA, Housing Redevelopment, Pat Schwartz was appointed to the Housing Redevelopment. Human Rights had 3 positions open. Frida Hall, Jessica Hartshorn, and John Scherber were appointed there. Planning Commission, Susan Lynch and Michelle Tobin were appointed there. The Police Community Advisory Group, Wendy Uzelak was appointed there. Public Utilities Commission, Greg Chandler was appointed. And the Park and Rec Department, Lila Crow is filling, we had a resignation this evening, so Lila Crow is filling the unexpired term, and Brad Hyduk is filling the full-time term. We did pay the bills this evening, and then at the end of our council meeting, we had an opportunity to hear from the city staff on our stormwater utility and how we maintain. Stormwater runoff is critical when we have 6 lakes that are within the city of Grand Rapids and the Mississippi River, and we border on Pekagama Lake, so technically 7 lakes. But from the standpoint of understanding and being able to fund the projects that are needed to ensure that water quality is being looked at and maintained is done through a stormwater utility fund. So Steve went through what the costs were. Some of them are based on a per acre fee, and others are based on just a single family fee. So any single family, even if it's more than an acre, they pay a $6 a month fee, and then the other ones are based on a per acre fee per month. And please keep in mind that if you're, because of the expansion of Grand Rapids, there are people out there that say, well, geez, why am I paying this on a monthly basis? I don't have curb and gutter and manholes and drains, but you do have ditches and you do have culverts and you do have needs occasionally that go around. So those fees will apply to those places as well, that when there's something from a runoff standpoint that needs to be addressed, those funds will be used to take care of those issues as well. I will not be here in 2 weeks. Councilmember Christie is going to be running the meeting in March. I'll be out of state, so I'm sure that Dale will be looking forward to doing a council wrap-up at the first meeting in March. So with that, I look forward to visiting with all of you again in a month from now at the second meeting or after the second meeting in March. Take care and be careful, and when I get back, I'm hoping that the weather is substantially better than what it is right now, and right now ain't bad. So thanks and have a good evening.